Hey, welcome to the Journey of Growth podcast, episode 40. I'm ThE, the host of this event, which is created so myself and others can share um, perspective of it in hopes that one another's insights will be relatable, establishes awareness, and inspires listeners to adopt and maintain such behavior. The definition of growth is the process of developing new skills, attitudes, actions, or reactions that can have a beneficial impact on your life and increases your overall well being. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, you're invited to do so by reaching out to me on Instagram at Kite Raps, uh, Facebook at Kite Smith, or you can also post a comment in the comment section of the Journey of Growth podcast episode, and I will initiate interacting with those interested. A potential benefit of participating in this experience is an increase of self identity and development of skill by using the mind and body in an unknown experience. So there is some beneficial circumstances that can result in your participation as well. And that's the intention for the show. So, without further ado, I would like to introduce today's featured guest. He's also a friend of mine. His name is Mr. Charles Chuck T. Turner. Hello, Charles. How are
What's,
you?
what's up, man? Thanks for having me. What's going on, y'all out there paying attention right now? Tune in. I sent a few people the link. We on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook, right?
Yes, that is true.
Oh yeah, we out there.
So, for those who are unfamiliar with you, what can you tell me about yourself?
I'm a music producer, songwriter, recording studio, film studio owner, videographer. I'm an author, animator. I do a lot of different. I tell people kind of for short, multimedia specialist because I work with a lot of different mediums and create a lot of different ways. In college, I studied radio, TV, film production with a minor in 2D and 3D graphic design. So that kind of helped me be a little bit of full circle, and I always try to learn more and grow on my skills and my knowledge. So I do a lot. Event curator as well, because you've come out to some of my events.
Hmm. Which I appreciate the opportunity to attend your events. It seemed like they were um, productive in the establishment of them, and I admire your ambitiousness as well as your willingness to enhance your various degrees of intellect through the various activities that you're involved in. Um, my next question is, what would be your perspective? What would be your perspective of growth?
I mean, growth is a subjective term because what could be a lot of growth to somebody could be none at all to others. So it's all about what your goals are. Are you growing towards those goals? Is really how you can kind of judge growth, because some people, even just speaking to the industry that I'm in, there's some people who have said straight up to me like, I don't care if I don't make any money doing this. I just want people to know who I am when I show up places. I just want everybody to know who my what my name is. So, their measure of success and growth is, am I famous enough? Is that happening? Whereas somebody else's like goal would be, I want to be sustainable in what I'm doing. I want to be able to create this music, put it out, and make enough money that my bills and stuff are paid, and I can just focus on music. And I don't care if I go into a bar and everybody doesn't know me, as long as I have enough people to help me be sustainable. I'm happy with that.
Mm,
So, it's a subjective term, and it's just like, well, what is growth to you? You have to ask some people, and to me, it's just kind of like what I said: setting goals, and if I'm getting closer to those goals and the things that I'm doing, then obviously I'm growing.
mm. I can relate to what you're saying, and I think I lean towards the the growth of self in terms of enhancement of skills, in contrast to growing for uh, exclusively monetary um, gain. And so, yeah, that your expression is relatable to myself, because it seems that other people that I have interacted with seem to go towards the end of uh, my initiatives and willingness to participate in experiences is solely for increasing my finances. And I don't judge or um, have any biases towards those type of people who choose to conduct themselves that way. It just I think from through my path, I just don't relate to that endeavor, and that's okay.
Yeah, it's old school, different strokes for different folks. You feel me? That's the best way to write that one off. Like, it ain't nothing wrong with that's what you're doing, but it might not fit my goals and my pathway. And if we running together, you pulling this way and I'm pulling that way, then we gonna slow each other down. So, it's like, respectfully do your thing. I don't hope the worst or nothing. I hope you get you, and I gotta get mine, but mine is over here. Yours is over there.
Hmm. Yeah, and hopefully, if you choose to go the opposite direction of myself, that the universe will support your efforts, because I mean, support seems to matter when it comes to growth as well. Would you? How relatable is that to you?
Yeah, I mean, it takes a village to raise a child, as they say, and no one man or woman is an army, or is an island. Is that no one man is an island is the actual saying, and so yeah, it's you can. And then here's another one, not to be Mr. Cliche and hella just old school terms, but this another one I hear: if you want to go fast, go do it yourself. If you want to go far, do it together. Do it as a group. And
Mm,
as somebody who started this business solo and still is in it solo, but in time I've collaborated and worked with people, but like the initial foundation, groundbreaking, and everything was all me. It is easier to move solo. You can get places fast, but doing it as a group, sometimes you can get farther because you have other people to take the weight off of you.
mm-hmm,
And you can have people in rooms like working for you. Everybody's an agent for each other at that point. In a team together, everyone achieves more, and it's like that's real if you guys are really moving like a team and really got your goals set. But yeah, if you got people, if you got support system around you, then some that's in support. You got help, and it's going to help you towards your goals and what you need to do. And it could come in a lot of different forms and a lot of different ways. You never know how people could help you. They might be able to connect you with somebody just because they're trying to support your dreams and your goals. I know a lot of people, and a lot of people I know, it has nothing to do with the entertainment music realm that I work in, but I can meet somebody else and it's like, oh, I know a guy who is a chemist. I know a guy who's a college professor that could help put you in motion.
mm.
So, you know, things like that.
And I'm glad you touched on the concept of team, because it seems that um, based on different perspectives, people have a different interpretation of that concept. where I think um, some people's interpretation is a team consists of individuals who are dependent on each other to achieve a goal. Where and then alternatively, others may have an interpretation as a team consisting of individuals who are working as autonomous individuals, but are willing to collaborate in achieving a goal with no expectation that the next person will um, fulfill their duties. And I think for me, I think also as an entrepreneur, I feel more, um, I sense more freedom when I am focused on engaging in opportunities that I have the energy to dedicate in engaging in them, with the potential to meet someone who wants to support my objective while also them being aware that you don't have to be dependent. We don't have to be dependent on one another to achieve objectives as individuals. Like, does that make sense, Chuck?
Yeah, I get what you're saying, and I think that it just really depends on the structure and what's going on and like who's involved. Because certain people that I work with, I know I can have confidence in them that they're gonna do everything that they supposed to do or where their skills lie. I know like that's what they do great. I'm gonna put them in position and line them up to do what they do best, and they ain't got to worry about nothing else. And some people you kind of have to manage or talk to or guide, and so it's really no way. It's just about what that team is about and what's going on. I mean, looking at the team concept and thinking about sports. I mean, we've seen championship teams where one guy was basically carrying the team on their back. And then
Mm-hmm.
we've seen other championship teams sometimes with these same people who carry the team on their back. Now they got other people and it's easier. And everybody's doing their role. I mean, like let's just talk locally. Let's look at the Warriors. Once KD came over there, it was like, okay, we got the Splash Brothers, but now we got another person that could dribble. We got another person who could grab some boards. So it's like, well, KD gonna just do KD. Steph gonna do Steph. And Clay, when he opened, he finna hit that three. And everybody just did their job. And nobody was dependent on anything. But then when we look at maybe some of LeBron championships or his championship runs, like he didn't win when he was the first time around with Cleveland, but that run he was doing a lot of shouldering of the work for different parts of the season because it could be even though the other Larry Hughes and those guys was doing their thing. I mean, it was what it was. LeBron was LeBroning. So so I think it just depends on where you at. Because then move forward, LeBron, D Wade, and Chris Bosh. That's another situation where everybody just handled their role, and then the championship rolled in. They was all in the mix because three great players doing what they do best, and you don't have to look. Everybody doesn't have to pass the rock over here to him and wait for him to do everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So,
I
I
think I
mean,
would. I think I would lean in that camp of the team with the Warriors, where everyone skill set contributed to an overall objective versus like just waiting for LeBron to shoot the ball and then we like playoff
yeah, but in
position.
the team, I think in a team you got to be adaptable and kind of like putty in certain because everything's not gonna always be the same. Somebody might go down. Next man up mentality is always something that they talk about. But what if the next man up don't need to come from the bench and it's somebody that's already in the mix and it's just like, well, step it up now because they can't. So it's just like even trying to be dependent that everybody's gonna do what they gotta do. Life happens, things happen. In a perfect world, yeah, everybody does what they have to do, but this world isn't perfect and things come up. So you have to be patient and empathetic and compassionate enough really as a team, and like communication is key, and like you have to have all of those traits in communicating with people because sometimes people interpret things wrong. Like I didn't mean it like that, but it might have sounded like that just because we're both passionate about this topic and my tone might have been missed, or I sent a text message that, a lot of stuff happened off of a text message because there's no context in text.
Mm-hmm.
And you can really misinterpret something. And then even it's been times in my life where I've sent a text message and somebody like calls me or like they think a certain way off of the text message. And I'm like, huh? And then I go and read it and I'm like, well, now that you say that, I realize how you could have interpreted that that might have been my tone, but that wasn't my tone. And this is where I was coming from when I text that.
Mm-hmm.
And then we both get understanding. But like communication is key because it's been other times where people won't even communicate that and they'll walk around with a chip on their shoulder or whatever. And it's like, a simple conversation could have settled that because it wasn't even all that. You just misinterpreted things. But, I might have had my moments in time too, but when working with a team, you got to be, I think, all of those things for it to work. Like, it's better to be safe than sorry because even, people is people's emotions, feelings, and just their pride, and there's a lot of things involved when dealing with people, and
Mm-hmm.
people can be sensitive and certain, especially in our adult lives, we're meeting people 30, like mid 20s, 30s, 40s. We don't know what they've been through and what a trigger could be, and it could just be like one little thing that's nothing to you is everything to them because it was one of the hardest blows in their life, and
Mm-hmm.
now they don't want to be on this team anymore.
Yeah, I remember when I was having a conversation with one of my aunts' um, husbands, and he used to be in a R&B group based in Richmond, and in the '80s, I think it was the '80s or early '90s, and it was a group of guys, and they um, decided to do a take a photo for an album cover that they were going to release, and there was an agreement that every individual artist was going to wear cardigan sweaters for the photo shoot. So they agreed upon that, days before, and then the day of the shoot, one of the uh, performers decided rather than wearing a cardigan, he was going to dress in an all white dress suit.
We pulled a Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes on them.
And it's like those are the type of situations that I hope not to experience, and I think it's very important to um, utilize our awareness to hopefully avoid them types of circumstances, because I think some people like try to sabotage the overall objective for whatever reason. And then the people who are willing to be on board to achieve the goal are kind of like at a stalemate or in limbo because of one individual. And I think those types of quote unquote teams are, I think, seems like they could potentially be avoided. It's just a matter of strategizing how to do so.
Yeah, I mean it's a people thing, like the seven deadly sins and such, like pride and vanity. That's where that came from. That was vanity. Like I mean, vanity run it's entertainment business. Vanity is like some of the life fuel of this, of this whole game. Like a lot of people started in the back, but they had to be in the front, and then they get in the front and they like, man, it's really expensive to be an artist. It's really hard out there to be an artist or whatever. It's all this pressure now. Like I used to do this and then I became an actress and now they want this, this, and this. And but it's like, yeah, okay, well you already proven yourself from the back, so why not fall back to the back? But for some, it's just vanity. I mean, not everybody, but that situation when we all sit at the table and agree cardigans and then you pull up in the white, that I wanted to stand out. I wanted to be seen. I wanted this. We put all our money together. The photographer's only here for one day. I'm not bringing any other clothes, so they can't make me switch. So this picture is gonna be the picture, and everybody's gonna see it, and I'm gonna be the man standing out. That was vanity. He wanted to be in front, and that's what happens in this game. So you can't really call it. You can't. I mean, you can only hope for the best in people, but it's like when the pressure's on, before the pressure's on, everybody says they won't crack and they're gonna be solid. But when the pressure on, then you know what's really gonna happen. And like when opportunity knocks, or the perceived opportunity, then you know the snakes and the creeps gonna come out to play, and they gonna show you what they really about.
Mm.
So you just won't know until it's time to cross that bridge. Sometimes there might be a few red flags leading up to it. And I mean, maybe you'll pay attention to it, maybe you won't. I mean, it's been times where I've seen things and it's just like trying to have I don't know, to see the brighter side of things and not judge people or not be a certain type of way and be closed minded, want to be more open minded and like, maybe that was just, and then later it pan out. Then you look back, hindsight 2020, like I should have known when they did that. But that's what we all say. I mean, if we all knew everything, if was a fifth, we'd all be drunk. You feel me?
Well, my next question is, I like to start at the origin. So, what can you tell me about your? I believe that growth can inspire growth. So, what
hmm
can you tell me about your childhood and your relationships with your parents?
Um, what do you mean? Like, I mean, I grew up with my parents. I know who my parents are. I mean, we're pretty cool. What do you? Well, I don't know what you want from that one.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay. So, where'd you grow up?
I'm from Oakland. I'm from East Oakland. So,
Okay. Okay. And then, how did your parents inspire you to be who you are today?
I mean, they've always been supportive enough in certain aspects, definitely. But um, as far as being this multimedia specialist, when I got started really down the path in high school, like I played instruments and stuff growing up. I come from a semi slightly musical family, like different people in my family played in different bands and you know were ministers in music in church and choir directors for their schools when they went there, and all type of things, sung in the choirs at the school, yada yada. And so I don't know, maybe I had a little influence from that because growing up, one of my uncles did have like a whole band set in his house, and every time I would go to his house, I'd always be in that room messing around. But like he had drum kit, organ, piano. We had a piano at my grandmother's house too, so I was always playing that. But in high school was when it like got really serious because I took a break from playing instruments and stuff really after like seventh, eighth grade. And I got in this program called Youth Radio. They was talking about they'll teach us how to DJ and play, make beats and be a radio on air host and whatnot. And they was also like, oh, and you could get a stipend. We're gonna pay you too. You could get a job with us. So I was like, that's sound like a lot of wins right there. So I went ahead and jumped in to see what it was about, and I liked it. I really enjoyed myself in making beats and having, like, I was, like I said, an on-air personality. So I had my own like 30-minute radio segment, and I would choose my own music and play my music. And this was going out on the FM, so you could actually tune your radio and hear it. So, you know, this was all really cool as a 14, 15-year-old kid doing all of this stuff. So I stayed with it, and after graduating high school, so I kept making beats, became a peer teacher, was teaching a lot of people how to make beats and stuff. So a lot of people came through youth radio, like a lot of people in the Bay Area who got a name and doing stuff. A lot of us in my generation kind of went through there or went through some segment of it. But some of the probably the biggest names might have been I Am Sue. He was one of my students. And then Pilo, I think, went through youth radio. I'm not 100% sure. I was in college because he's younger than all of us, but his brother is the same age as I Am Sue, and his brother Kuya, he was one of my students. Peer, I was taught how to make beats and whatnot. So they went through there, and a few other cats. Doc Dollar, he be with G Easy, and um, oh yeah, First Class Johnny. He just produced a track for Jada Kiss not too long ago, so he came through there. He was up under me at 1.2. But yeah, that was kind of how I really got my start in the music and entertainment field. And after graduating high school, I got accepted into Howard University. And so I went out, I went there, that's in DC, and I studied radio, TV, film production with, like I said, a minor in 2D, 3D graphic design. And all while I was there, I was still making beats, and I was working for the youth. I mean, not the youth, but the school's radio station. And I was working like a nonprofit extension of youth radio that they had out there, teaching the kids how to do the same stuff, run their radio station. I was working at the Latin American Youth Center out there, and yeah, just stayed on it. Moved out of the dorms, got an apartment, had a studio running out of my apartment, making beats and doing that. Took a break from school, and then I went back. And when I went back, that's when I did the studio. So that was like 2010, and then I finished school, got my degree in 2012, and moved back out here like the end or mid of 2013. I don't know. Actually, I think I came back out here at the beginning of 2013, and then I was running the studio out of my apartment for a minute, and yeah, some stuff happened. My father got hurt, and I had to help him with some stuff. And so I put this music on pause to kind of just make sure he was straight. So around 2018, I got back on my grind with music and was just like, well, I'm about to open a studio because I had still been bringing people through to the apartment, and it got to the point to where my clientele had grew and word got out that somebody literally just came and knocked on my door and was like, yeah, I'm trying to come to the studio. And I'm like, bruh, like, this is where I live. If you see my flyers or whoever told you, they didn't tell you to call, because I stressed that call first, don't just show up. Like, like, so it was like, it's all good. And so then I was just like, at that point, it's like, yeah, definitely time to just get a commercial space and start renting there and run the studio out of that, and time to move, clearly, because now people just showing up at the door. So I handled all that. And yeah, I got here, and I was in one spot in Richmond, down on Second in Ohio for a few months. Left there and came here. I took a little break to find a new spot, and I found this spot here in the Market Square Mall, and I've been here since December 2018.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I appreciate the insight and elaboration of the experiences that you engaged in and the opportunities that you attracted, seemingly as a result of your initiatives, starting all the way back to your childhood when you were working in the was it a high school radio station?
Youth Radio was its own entity. It was in Berkeley at first, and then excuse me, what was that? Summer of 2007, they moved. Yeah, I remember that because that's when they moved from Berkeley to Oakland, and where they're at on 17th and Broadway, but they closed down, I guess, due to funding issues like last year. So I mean, it's no more, I guess, right now. But hopefully, I mean, Youth Radio helped a lot of us get our feet wet. Like, not everybody went and got into music, but a lot of people who went through that program went on to careers within like the realm of things, because we learned a lot: web design, we were doing photography there, we were doing a little bit of video work. So a lot of people went into radio, a lot of people became journalists. I mean, if y'all know my boy OG Pendarvis Harshaw, like, that's where I met him. We knew each other long before we both ended up going to Howard at the same time, but we knew each other from Youth Radio because we was both like working there and just kicking it and stuff like that. And then, unbeknownst to either one of us, we both applied, and then we both got in and came into work talking about, yeah, we got accepted. I got accepted to Howard. They're like, oh yeah, he got accepted too. I'm like, what? So, man, we lit. We on. No, it wasn't lit then. That was 2006. We was like, what, you going there? I'm going there. Ah, we on. And that's what it was, man. We on. Yeah. So we was out there.
For
But
those
yeah,
for those unaware of the college experience, um, what can you tell me about your experience at Howard
I
University?
don't. Yeah, I don't know if I could tell people about the college experience. I can tell them about the Howard experience, because I don't know, and I seriously doubt that any school experience is like Howard. Like, I'm not saying that Howard is so one of a kind that it's the best ever. I'm just saying I don't think anything is like that.
Mm.
like, because it's a black school, it's the mecca. It's like, I have to sometimes remind, not remind black people, but other people, just like the reason that, like, especially like a, Asian people, Hispanic people, like the reason you're able to go to schools that aren't segregated is because of Howard University and the work that we put in, and some brothers that went there, and like the meetings that were held to get the argument together to take the Supreme Court took place on that campus. Like, not only that, then it's like when I'm talking to black people, like, a different world, right? Yeah, well, that's based off of that school. You know about this. So it's a lot of, it's a lot of stuff. And all of, like, a lot of the stuff that you see in them shows and stories is kind of true. Like, because it's in DC, it's a party all the time. It's people coming in town, and then the school itself got a lot of stuff going on. You got the frats, you got the sororities, you got all these different club events, like different school clubs and stuff. And so the party life is crazy, and that's what you don't really know because you're going to a really great scholarly, scholastic, academic school, and all of that is there, like the knowledge and it's just rich with knowledge and culture. And like, that was something I loved about going there, and that's why I'm like, I don't know about everywhere else, because I'm going to Howard University coming from Oakland, never really been outside of the Bay other than like road trips to like Texas and Louisiana. I'm there meeting black people from literally everywhere in the world. And I'm like, even places where I'm like, is black people there? Like, it's like, like for real, like people from all over the world, like we really all over this planet. Like, I did not know it was black people there, like, and just like soaking up the culture and from other people in the game, and just learning what people not only outside of this country but in other states deal with, and just the life of being black, good and bad, and just learning about different state laws and things like that. Like, I'm riding with somebody from New Hampshire one time, and I'm like, I look over and I'm like, bruh, you ain't got, and DC cops, feds, every alphabet of cop, every kind of cop is there. And so we riding in this car, and I'm like, bro, you ain't got your seatbelt on. And he's like, oh yeah, man. That, long story short, he tells me that in New Hampshire, it's not a law to have your seatbelt on. So it's just like, he was just riding like that because he used to not riding with a seatbelt on. And I'm like, man, I'm not trying to get blurb. Like, we in here, we riding a little dirty according to DC laws. Like, and you just out here with your seatbelt not on. Like, man, you even dirtier. Like, so it was, it's that, like, even like little simple stuff like that, and just learning about, like, in California, we don't have jump out days, which are like Tuesdays and Thursdays in DC. The cops ride around four deep and just harass people.
Mm.
That's really what they do. They ride around four deep, dressed just the way we see ICE dressed, like covered up. You can't see their face. At least when I was in school, that's what they was doing every Tuesday and Thursday. And they just bounce out on you if they felt like it, and would just get on you and trip on you. And I'm like, man, and like, it was crazy because they would trip so hard until, like, me and my people would flash our Howard IDs, and then they'd back off. But it's like, if we didn't have that, so this is how you treat regular residents here.
Mm-hmm.
It's like learning that too. Like, man, it's really messed up out here. So the whole experience was a real eye opener, just to see how other people live and meet black people from all different corners of the world, and just soak up some different game and learn. Like, it's a lot of good knowledge there. I learned a lot about the diaspora going to that school, and learned a lot about myself, and just saw a lot of things. And outside of the experience, again, just by being there in that specific spot, DC's close to things. And out here, a 6 hour drive going south, you just hitting LA. A
Mm-hmm.
6 hour drive from DC going north, you're passing New York, because New York is like a 4 hour, 5 hour drive.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like everything's so close. So I was able to like see a lot of different places to where it's like, oh, that's not much of a drive. Let's go. So that was cool too. Cause like I said, living out here, a 6 hour drive is a mission, and you might not even leave the state depending on where you go. But
How
out there, a 6 hour drive, you didn't cross a few state lines.
how did living in close proximity to these states enhance your perspective of the United States overall.
Oh yeah, I mean, like I said, it definitely did. It's like a 6 hour drive going south from the Bay. You still in California, and depending on traffic, you might not be getting into LA because I've had a long LA drive where we came across 2, 3 accidents. So a 6 hour drive, not even a guarantee to get to your destination if that's it. But
Mm,
out there, an 8 hour drive, to my understanding, from DC, like an 8 to 12 hour drive, you could either go to Atlanta or you could go to like Cleveland, Ohio.
mm.
So I mean, that seems far to me, but like that's crazy that you could go across that many states and see all of that. So it, definitely was an eye opener just for how close things are, and it was cool because I used to have an internship at for Viacom. So that's the network that owns like MTV and VH1 and a whole bunch of other networks, Nickelodeon. So I had an internship with them in the summer, and I used to travel. I was actually broke college student type stuff, and I having no connections right at that point. I had a spot in DC. I was staying on campus over the summer. So I was traveling from DC to New York to go to my internship and then coming back to my spot in DC. Like I would get up hella early, like 2, 3 in the morning, jump on the bus because like the trains weren't running out there. They got a train system, but it wasn't running. So I jump on the bus, have to wait on the bus in the middle of the night, get that to go to Chinatown in DC where they got this thing called the China bus. It was for $40. You could do a round trip to New York. And you can just catch it whenever. And like I said, that's a 4 hour drive, 5 hour drive. So I just catch that at like 2, 3 in the morning and just KO on the bus. I jump on it, KO, then get to New York, and then I get me some food, go into where I'm supposed to like get somewhere around where I'm supposed to be, go to the bathroom, brush my teeth, wash my face, and then slide into the job, and then just go to work for the internship, and then when it was over, hop back on the bus and slide back. But that was pretty cool. I was doing like a lot of work for the MTV radio at that time with that internship, like doing chops and edits for commercials and little commentary parts and stuff. It was cool. Due to being in youth radio, I was kind of already advanced, so it was like I was knocking out stuff faster than they expected because they was thinking I was, a lot of people at that stage, at that age, are fairly new and rough around the edges, and that was something I was even coming across in class at Howard. Is that many of my peers, this was a desire of a field that they were interested in, but not a field that they already had experience in. It's like I'm going to college to learn a lot, not to get expertise, but it was like they were fresh and green. Whereas I already had Pro Tools and I like new stuff. I knew a lot of stuff in comparison to some of my peers. Um, so yeah, it kept me a little ahead of the curve, moving faster. But yeah, that it was cool.
That's good. I'm glad. I'm glad you enjoyed your experience in college at Howard, and uh, I'm glad you also attracted the opportunity, which helped to increase your portfolio in terms of your career with that internship with Viacom, and hopefully, in addition to attending Howard University, you were also hopefully able to attract reflections of yourself in terms of friendships and um, were you able to establish supportive friendships at
Oh
Howard
yeah,
as
yeah.
well?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Howard is one of those things. I mean, I can't speak again. I only went to one college, so I can't speak for everywhere. But Howard, it's a real like family. So like we got alumni chapters in a lot of different states, and not even just different states, in different regions of states. And I mean, if I'm going, even if I'm going to LA and I really have something that I want to tap in with the Howard folks down there, I can talk within my alumni group and they'll put me in contact. And not even just that, if I go out in public wearing some Howard merch, and it's like almost being like in how people in the fraternities and sororities acknowledge each other when they see each other. Like somebody from Howard, if they see you, they gonna say something and they gonna acknowledge you, and we gonna be locked in. Like, oh, you went there? I went. Okay, when did you go there? What's so? Um, yeah. definitely just within, just by being a part of the brother and sisterhood slash family that is Howard University alumni, a lot of support there. And then from the friends and people I met while being there, I mean, I'm in contact with a lot of different people from that school still to this day. So, like, yeah, like, definitely. I mean, I would think that a lot of people when they go to college build bonds and, stay cool with people. So I don't think it's too much different. But just to answer your question, definitely have built some great friendships that have been supportive in many ways and others, and even some that I didn't expect.
And I can say from personal experience, my in terms of my family, I would say three of my um well two uncles, no, I'm sorry, two aunts and one uncle. They're both all three are siblings. They all graduated from Howard in the 90s. And then my niece, she graduated from Howard University, I think with a degree in psychiatric therapy about 2 years ago.
Okay.
So, yeah, I can relate to you in that regard of in that regard in that school, and I think all of them have reiterated what you said in terms of your pleasure of attending that school as well. Yeah. So moving on, um, what can you tell me about your current business ventures?
I got a lot going on this year. I got so like I said, I well, first off, the obvious, Rich City Studios, it's my recording studio, my film studio. So I always got clients and things going on. I actually got a music video I got to shoot this weekend and some other stuff. But outside of that, I'm also a DJ, and tomorrow actually I'll be hosting an event at Coco Noir Wine Bar in Oakland. We're doing our first ever collaborative trivia night. So it's gonna be cool. I'm gonna be, DJing, playing some music, but also doing trivia. It's gonna be Afrocentric trivia. Getting a little early kickoff to Black History Month. So definitely come through. Excuse me. Get a flight or a glass or even a whole bottle. We're gonna be doing this from 7 to 9. Um, it's gonna be a really fun and fun event. A lot of people are already coming out, so definitely make it out if you're watching this, or even you yourself, Kite, if you're free. This is gonna be the first one, but we're gonna do some more. So I'm doing that. I do my every third Wednesday event at the Factory Bar out here in Richmond. So that's what my event series called the Indie Experience, which is an event series that's aimed at trying, not necessarily getting away from performances, but I go to a lot of shows to support clients and my homies that are promoters and, event curators and things like that. And I notice a lot of issues sometimes in performances that may be on the venue, may be on the promoter setup, sometimes on the artist. And they range from things like, it's just not good sound. The song might not be mixed well enough. The artist might not have enough practice. They run out of wind and they can't perform. They don't know the words to the song. It's a lot, like I said, it varies, but those things sometimes take away from the song and the artistry. So that made me want to have this event to where people could come in. It's called Experience, AUX Experience, because people come in and plug in their music and play that, and we get to hear the studio version. And then it also creates a lane because there's also when you go to perform as an artist, about 7 times out of 10, it's like a club venue. People are trying to turn up. They're trying to, release dance, whatever. So you want to do your high energy songs. But you might have deep cuts on your album and things like that that are really good songs, like the lyricism or the beat it just might be everything but a turn up track. And so when you go out to perform it, you're never going to perform that because it's going to bring the energy down in the room. But this event creates a way I like to think for artists to come and share those tracks. And it's like, well, it's still a good song. You hear what I'm talking about. So let me share this with you guys because sometimes that's what can make a fan. Like, everybody's trying to make that radio hit. And, you can make a cool radio hit, but by having a song that like really touches people and grabs them and makes it relatable, which deep cuts sometimes can be, you can create that. So we have that aspect of the event, but I also take the songs that are shared by artists at that event and add them to a playlist from that night. And I share it with my friends who are DJs at iHeartRadio and other radio stations, and just DJs at parties and things like that. So that way they can take a listen, help maybe discover new artists, and then play you on their station or at the next party. And I also, let's see, do I have one in my wallet? Yes, I do. So I also have these membership cards. Let's see if I can, that I make, which have a QR code, and they also have the website to it's to the Indie experience, so that way other people can hear these playlists later on. And so, like when I go out in public and I'm just around people, like consumers, sometimes conversations start. They ask me what I do for a living, and as we're talking, I move into this and I hand them a card because many people are looking for new music and new artists. So I try to help, the people around, use my positioning to help people get a little further out there. Because if one person likes you, maybe it'll take you around some more people, and that'll be how you grow. And if you got your Apple Music for artists and things like that, you might start seeing growth, not knowing why. But this is the journey of growth, and that's what it's about. So I try to help people with that. Like, here you go. I was in Tahoe for a week and was meeting a lot of different people, and that was conversation. They're like, "Oh, how can I hear these artists that's coming to your events? That's dope." And I'm like, "Here, boom, boom, check this out. Stay up to date with it every week, every month. I have an event and I have a new playlist, so check that out." So the Indie experience every third Wednesday at the Factory Bar. And last month we had a open mic with teaming up with Mac Life Movement and Shotty, and we held that at Cali Club in Berkeley on Telegraph. So every now and then I do different pop up like open mics or concerts along with it. But every third Wednesday you could find me at Factory Bar if you just want to come there. And anybody listening, checking this out might see it later. That's local. Another thing that I'm doing this year with those events are, if you have an album or a song that you released that month, come through or contact me beforehand, and we'll set it up to be like an album release, song release party. Like, I'll put you on the flyer and help showcase what you're doing, to just be, a little bit more. Content is kind of king right now for a lot of people, so we're trying to help you have different angles and just create support. The Factory Bar, a lot of people go there. Every time that I've held an event there, there's been easily at least 20 people, 25 people in the bar outside of the group of people that's there participating in the room. So definitely a good spot for you as an artist when you come to play music. Run out there and say, "Hey guys, I'm an artist. Can I get your feedback? Come and check it out." Because it's 20 to 30 people all just having a drink after work. That's all a part of the community. So even if they don't like it, they might give you some constructive criticism. And sometimes that's all it takes is to get on the right path. It's just like, "Oh, that was cool. That wasn't. If you lose that, I buy everything you do."
Hmm.
And you know, so I'm
Yeah.
doing that. I'm doing a few other venues for bingo and trivia night. And on the fourth Sundays of the month, I'm going to be in Sacramento with the homie Shotty at Lucid Wines. Like a little chill networking event. Come through. If you're an artist, you can come through, showcase your music, perform a little, just tap in with us and let us know. But nice little wine event out in Sac, chilling, something cool for the spring and summer as it approaches.
Hmm. And the Factory Bar, that's located in San Pablo, California, correct?
No, no, that's in Richmond. It's on San Pablo Ave though.
Okay.
So the
Okay.
nearest cross street is Clinton Ave.
Okay.
So yeah, the Clinton Ave and San Pablo will be the nearest cross
Okay.
street to the spot. It's like right on the corner. It's Tacos El Toucan. Then it's the chicken, not chicken and waffles, but ice cream and waffles place. And then and then it's the Factory Bar. So, and
Okay.
then also we have a special drink menu too. So when you come through, definitely check that out. Myself and the bar manager, we got together and came up with something special. A few different drinks to help elevate the experience and something signature. So, uh, if you come and you try it, I'm sure they'll be down to make it for you on another day. But you can definitely get it on the day of the when we have our. or Wednesdays. They ready to make it. So you could maybe get it in and remember it and be like, hey, I came on this day. Can you make it? But it's like an in and out secret menu kind of right now. If you don't come in the room and you don't really know, you missing out on, these little solid little drinks because they all been pretty good.
Okay.
So I think is that everything I got going for this year? I mean, I got a few other things in the works. I'm working on a video game with Outgate Entertainment. Um, these are the brothers that's behind the Jacket documentary.
Mhm.
So they're also some of my event sponsors for the India experience. Shout out them. Shout out 41510. Shout out Cold World, Raider Man. Sound Gym, and of course Factory Bar, and everybody else that I've been working with and doing things with. So yeah, I mean, I feel like it's some other thing. I got a lot going on planned out for this year, but that's the short run of it. So y'all follow me on Rich City Studios. Follow me on my other page at Chuck T Beats. Follow the Indie Experience, ThEINDIEAUX PERIENCE. Now, that's a lot, I know, but those are the three pages. The Indie Experience, Chuck T Beats, Rich City Studios, and you'll be pretty much up to date with a lot of the stuff I got going on.
And I also posted a link to his Rich City Studios um, Instagram page in the description of this episode on YouTube, as well as his one of his books he's authored. So, what can you tell us about your books that you've authored?
So yeah, so I got two. And the first one I wrote was the Indie Artist Handbook.
Can you
Let's
put a
see,
little
is it
bit
coming?
closer to the screen?
Yeah. Let me
Okay, got it.
try to let it run for a little bit. But yeah, this was my first book. And when did I come out with this? This was like 2021, 2020, somewhere in there. I think it was 2021. It was after my car accident. 2020, somebody T-boned me and messed me up. They I was shattered my knee, and they ran a red light, T-boned my car, totaled my car, pushed it off the street into a parking lot, and I shattered my knee, broke my finger, and got my arm like cooked by. I got like second-degree burns on my arm from the airbag. So I was in a wheelchair for about 7 months. Had to get two surgeries and bounce back from that. So yeah, I think I came out with this book after I was back on my feet moving around, if I'm not mistaken. But the Indie Artist Handbook came about because, like I said, I've been doing music and working in the industry and stuff since 2004 is when I got introduced to youth radio. And one of the first things, like after I made a beat and people were like, "Oh, I like this beat. This is pretty cool. Like, hey, maybe you should stay with this." First thing I asked is like, "How do people make money in this industry? Like, okay, I made a song. How do I make money?" So then I started researching that and like just going on the internet and searching and just figuring out the game. And even prior to that, I was already like paying attention to like stuff going on in the entertainment world, but then I just like dove in head first as a teenager. I was one of those kids that come home and even at school, if I just got free time, I'm sitting on the computer. If I could get through the block, the wall or whatever, firewall, whatever that was, I'm on like the hip hop blog, allhiphop.com, and hot new hip hop, 24-hour hip hop. I'm on all them blogs, listening to all the new music that drop every day, checking that out, reading all the news stories, and even looking at all the little rumor mills. Because like what I learned during that time was if you go to those sites, even in their rumor mills, the truth start coming out because everybody that's giving information is different people that was there. And then like you got knowledge of the industry and stuff too, just from other stuff. If you own it like I was on it every day, you start seeing stuff and seeing patterns and connections. And so certain stuff, it was just like very interesting as a kid. So I always was like a student of the game, and I always kind of like learned what was going on, what made the gears of this machine move. And by having that knowledge, it allowed me to have certain successes and reap royalties on things like that. But as I opened the studio, I'm meeting a lot of up and comers who don't have any knowledge of this, and they're asking me questions, and I'm helping them and answering them while they're here in the studio. Then they're calling me back later, asking me the same questions, or because they forgot. It's a lot of information to retain. So that's what made me decide, well, let me just put it in a book. then you could get this book off me, and then you could hold on to it. You could read it at your own pace, but the answers is in here. I'm not withholding or nothing. There you go. Boom. So that's where that book came about. And I even have a workshop around it too, but whatever. I just been selling the book. A workshop is like for kids in schools, or maybe if I do a seminar or something. But that's where that came from. So in this book, I talk about what royalties are, excuse me, how to secure them, like how to sign up for a PRO, performance rights organization, so ASCAP BMI, how to trademark your name, how to copyright your music, what's the proper way to like reach out to a radio station or a blog. Like this is proven, like how I've had my success, and like gotten responses back, and even gotten applauded and complimented by blogs. Like, thank you for being so professional. You sent us everything. So I talk about how you do that to get a response. Cause hey, check out this song. Never really ever gonna work. But you can send an email which in summary says, hey, check out this song, but it's about how you type it and say it so it comes off very professional. And they're like, okay, let's check out this song.
Hmm.
So it's that, and then I have a chapter in there about different outlets that you can actually like go to, like different ways to get your music out there and promote it to, like resources. Like if you go here, they have a database of radio stations that you can get access to. If you go here, they have a database of music blogs that you can submit to. And over here, they have it's like that. I have a whole chapter devoted to that, and like how to secure, again, different way, because we live in a digital age. So ASCAP and BMI alone isn't going to secure all of your royalties. So I even talk about how to secure the digital royalties now in the streaming age in there. So, it's a chock full of good information, I think. I always try to recommend it, not just because I wrote it, but like this is what you kind of need to know. Like it's a foundational book. Like I don't say it has all the answers. It's going to take you to the millions, but it's going to get you in position so that when somebody come bring you that $1 million conversation, you're not gonna be one of those artists that be like, oh man, I didn't know and I signed it and they got, oh man, I'm a slave now. I'm never gonna get out of this. Like, at least put you down the path. So even if you do sign that contract, then it's just like, because I got a client who told me somebody presented him something, but because he read my book, he had a little better understanding. He was like, I just didn't think that was for me, but the money was nice. Like they was trying to give him like 5 figures, 6 figures or something. But he was like, the money was cool to thinking about my situation, but thinking about the long term and what they was asking, because I read your book, I realized it wasn't really the best move for me at this point. It's
Mm.
like, cool, I'm glad I could help. And
Yeah.
so yeah, that's that book. And then what was this about? 2023, I wrote and illustrated my hip hop coloring book. So it's hip hop, the origin story and coloring book. And yeah, I wrote this clearly for the kids and just the super hip hop enthusiasts. Like it got like a nursery rhyme kind of story, and got some illustrations of New York and just starting off things. Let me see what's well, find a. Then I also got like fashion and heck of other stuff. So what's this right here? Yeah, got a little breakdance and b-boy. So I talk about everything dealing with the origins of hip hop. And I made this just because having this studio here and having youngsters that come here, and a lot of these youngsters come to my studio. I got a discount for the kids. Yeah, here's my little fat. Here's my fat. So I got
Uh-oh.
discounts for kids here in my studio. And sometimes the kids come to my studio and they just be talking about killing 1 million people, just unalive and everything. It's like, if that's the life you live, like I was a kid once, and I was some of the kids I went to school with when we was kids was out in the street doing stuff, and but not all these kids don't, and they just be trying to imitate what they think is success because
Mhm.
they don't even, they're so young. Like some of these kids are like, they coming in here, they was born in 2010. Like they real young, 2015 babies and stuff like that. So it's just like they don't have any knowledge of the foundation of hip hop, and they don't know where it's coming from. And even though, not to say that they're a lost cause in their age, but I made this book for like kindergarten, the second graders, so that way they could read it and understand a little bit about Cool Herc and where it came from, and the positivity. Because like I get it, if if I'm in their shoes and, I'm trying to change my life financially, and everybody I see on TV who's getting all the money or all the people talking violence and recklessness, then that's what sells. So I'm going to imitate that, whether I don't know what I'm talking about or not. Because I get kids that say some of the craziest stuff about pistols and things like that. It's like that's not even a real thing. Like you just thought it was catchy and you said it, but like it doesn't make any sense. And you have a and it's like you have a computer in your hand, kid. Like you're on it. Like why not look this up before you write that lyric? But you know, um, so it's just I wrote this book to just give them a good foundation and give them something to really just know what it's about and maybe have a better understanding. And because it's too much I think it's not too much, but it might be an intense conversation to try to tell a kid like, well, the powers that be in the music industry all have stock shares in the prison industry, and the reason that they're guiding us down these paths of negativity and no education and hate and fighting each other is because it all goes, it's like, huh? Like you can't really tell that to I mean, you can, but I don't know if they'll be able to comprehend such a large scale of things. And just like, that's the thing about capitalism in society, to have that conversation. So
Yeah, and I
yeah.
can relate to what you're saying because I think for me, the coloring book symbolizes fundamentals, as you were mentioning earlier, and the intention for the genre, the origins of the genre, and it's sort of like to parallel what you're saying. I've been doing some research on family history of my family, and I've been discovering stories that I've been exposed to by some of the elders of my family line. And when I hear about their grandparents and their migrations from the South and the things that they endured and the jobs that they took on and the prayers that they prayed, these things seem to still be relevant in terms of their efforts to today. So it's a matter of being aware of how naturally things, the nature and the world works, and discovering like what's supported versus not being supported. And the way you were talking about how the youth, they may be talking about guns and violence, but the question is, is that rooted in fundamentals of life in the natural order? And if it's not, are they aware of what the fundamentals are? And it seems like they're not. So by providing them some visualizations as well as the stories of the fundamentals, that could be used as a resource for them so that they can have a contrast or a discernment of what works and what really doesn't, right?
Yeah, definitely. Because I've had kids, like I've had this conversation with some of the youth, and one time a kid asked, he's like, "Well, what are we supposed to write a song about then? Riding our bikes?" And I'm like, yeah, like you're a kid and you actually ride your bike, you might actually be able to make something cool talking about something that you saw one day ride your bike. But a lot of kids ride their bikes, so that's relatable. Like we talk about selling, and it is like, and it's crazy and funny because one, I went to high school. Not, of course, I didn't go to high school with these kids, but what I'm about to say is the people who I'm about to talk about are people who I went to high school with, and so it's like they're saying that, and I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, "You're from the Bay, kid. You got to know this song, Scraper Bikes,
Mm.
the Scraper Bike song." And it's like that's a song about bikes that people love, and it's doing. So it's just like, granted, the success of that song isn't anything like a Lil Durk, NBA Young Boy, yada yada. But as far as making a song that people like and that they want to hear and that they'll turn on and that fits a mood and has a meaning, a place to live in, they did that. Whereas it's a million songs about killing people. I mean, how many it's not that many murderers walking the street. And so it's not really something that a lot of people can relate to. And like you might relate to the passion and to the feeling or to the concept that the artist is writing about and saying like this is why they're in that mentality because these things happen. You might be able to relate to that, but not everybody riding around doing that. So it's like it's only so far and so much reach you can have at times with that kind of music. But then, like again, the scraper bike song, like those guys have built a whole nonprofit off of that song.
Mm-hmm.
They teach kids how to make scraper bikes. Like that's how far and how much reach that song had off of doing a song about a bike. And you know, so yeah, that's what kind of led to making this coloring book is just trying to teach the young, give them a little bit more foundation about where it came from. Because as they say, if you don't know where you came from, you don't know where you're going, and it opens up the room for conversation because you might want to go like also I left this out, but not only is it a coloring book and a story, but in the back in the last few pages I actually have about 100 notable moments in hip hop. So I got like it's like a history book kind of in the back, a little index of different things that took place in hip hop from its dawning to now. Like I said, notable moments. So like the year it talks about the year LL Cool J went on world tour, being the first hip hop artist to go on a world tour, and like things about Kendrick and his Pulitzer and Jay-Z being, a lot of different moments with dates and times and stuff, just so you can have that knowledge and know things. And like I said, you're not gonna know where you're going, you don't know where you've been. And when you able to see some of these facts as a kid, you might want to look up some of these songs or some of these artists, and then you can start developing some stuff. So I'm just trying to give back to the culture and to the genre and to the people because that's African American history right there, hip hop. That's
Yeah,
American history. It is definitely Black history, but it's American history on top of that. Like so,
I agree, and I hope that other people will become aware of your creations and your products, and they will be of resource to them as well. Um, and while we're still on the topic of hip hop, who are some hip hop artists that inspire you?
um, so growing up, one of my favorite producers was Timbaland for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I mean, like, yeah, just on the producer tip, it's a lot of producers I like, and like a lot of people in music inspires me sometimes. But like in my youth, Timbaland, Pharrell. I mean, yeah, I definitely like Dr. Dre. I mean, Scott Storch, Manny Fresh, like all the heavy hitters. And that's the thing. We grew up in a time where it was less discovery of me. Like right now, I could go find a new artist and discover a new producer. And even though I might not like the artist, I'm gonna stick with the producer because it's so easy to create music and put it out. But back then, you only heard music because it was coming through a label. The label had a budget, and they were spending their budget on the proven heavy hitters who's charging hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like right now, I believe a Mike Will or Pharrell beat, a Mike Will made a Pharrell beat is like six figures.
Wow,
So when they were when they was on the come up, it was like maybe five, like 50,000, whatever. But like to my understanding, to get a beat off of them, yeah, you coming off like 100,000, 150,000.
wow.
But I mean, we talking about label budgets, so that's why you don't hear them doing beats on mixtapes like that unless it's an artist that they really cool with.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's why you hear them on albums because it's that big of a budget. It's like we got to make that money back if we the label or even if you the artist and you dig deep like that is you know.
Mm-hmm.
So but inspiration, I mean, I grew up I listened to a lot of different stuff kinda. Like I was like working for the youth radio and having that stipend, I was young and I had money to play with. So I was one of those people. Circuit City was still around at this time. So I was one of them cats that you would catch at Circuit City on that Tuesday when something dropped. And I was grabbing the $8, $7 CD every time. Like, oh, okay, that new Jeezy. That I remember when the first one was at Thug Motivation. The first one came out. I'm like, up, let me go over here grab that. That was like $7.99 or something first day at Circuit City. So I used to be tearing it up, listening to just hella music. And I mean, for under $10 for a CD, I wasn't tripping sometimes. Sometimes like I just want, because again, we didn't. It was either Napster and bootlegging it,
Mm-hmm.
or like LimeWire, and you was pirating and bootlegging it. You go to your people in the school who's bootlegging it, and it ain't no guarantee that that CD that you buy is gonna have all the album tracks on it, let alone have them in the correct order.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I can either go those routes, or the only other way to hear this album or to hear this song is to buy a single, and I don't want to buy a single. So man, whatever, it's only $6, it's only $8. Here you go. Boom. Let me get this album and I'll listen to the whole album. So I grew up listening like East Coast music, listening to South. My cousin went to college in Atlanta, so he used to come back and hit me with hella music, Goody Mob, Outkast, all that. So I was always listening to them, 8 Ball, MJG, UGK. He was putting me on all the South rappers, and this was in 1990. This was even before I even was thinking about youth radio. This was like 1998. He was putting me on all of them. So yeah, I just always was listening to music itself kind of inspired me, like, more than the artist, because sometimes the artists who I don't even like that much, or who I will say like, yeah, they're not the greatest. I just like this song, or I just bought this album to see what they was about, and it's like, but this song over here is, I like it, and I like the flow, or I'm gonna make a beat that sound like that, or I'm gonna make a song that's similar to that. I like that. I'm inspired now.
Yeah. In terms of hard copies, like now that you mentioned you were talking about you used to purchase CDs, like what's the like in total, like what's the like how many hard copies of like uh
Dude.
CDs that did you
So,
own, your
dude, so
biggest amount?
proud. So like, I used to have a CD book.
Hmm.
You remember? And
Yeah,
I
I
had the
remember
little
those.
personal one. I had the little personal one, like not the four deck one. My sister had the four deck one, and I used to keep some of my CDs in there, but not a lot of them, just to keep them from breaking or whatever. So at one time, dude, I might have had close to 100, because them thick books had like 50 pages, and it was front and back.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thick ones was like 50, 60 pages, and it was front and back. And I remember, like, man, when I was in 11th grade, or was this 12th grade? I mean, no, this is either 10th or 11th grade. I left my CD book at school,
Oof.
and the janitor stole my CDs. Stole my CDs and lied about it. We went over by their car later. I seen the CDs in their car. I'm like, I ought to just break their glass and take my stuff back, man. But it was cool. I just stayed on my hustle, and I just rebought a lot of the. I bought all the like the key ones and just started over. So I didn't. I had bought hella CDs in my time, like just off of that, because that shit was almost full when that move happened. And I was just like, it's all right, karma. I'm gonna get you back. I got them back later, but that's neither
Oh.
here nor there. But yeah, yeah. So that was like I said, yeah, I might have had at least 100, because like when I would go to the store on them Tuesdays, I'd leave with at least always at least two. And I mean, I worked that job for 2 years, and new albums is dropping twice every at least twice a month,
Hmm.
so I was killing it. I was on my music hustle, just trying to hear different sounds, learn about different music, different artists, what they was doing. And with the CDs, they had the book, so I'm opening up the book and looking at the credits and finding out about different writers, different producers, where different studios are, because they used to have the studio that each song was recorded at, the address, and the mixing engineers. And man, I'm looking up all that. I was a student of the game.
Mm, that's
Um,
interesting. I appreciate you sharing your collection. That was pretty extensive for your age, so that was pretty interesting. Um yeah, so I'm enjoying the conversation with you. And so we're gonna go to the next segment of the podcast, which is the multiple intelligence theory.
mhm.
Appreciate everybody tuning in. If you have any questions or comments, you're invited to post a comment, and we will try to address your comments on Facebook, YouTube, or Instagram. Yeah, definitely post a comment. We'll try to address them if you have any questions. So this segment is called the multiple intelligence theory segment. So, for those who are unaware of the multiple intelligence theory, I'll talk about it briefly. When it comes to intellect, there are three popular theories. One is more popular than the next. The most popular suggests that when it comes to intellect, we as human beings have three forms of intellect, which would be logical, mathematical, linguistic slash writing skills, and naturalist slash scientific. And so, since this theory is is adopted by academic institutions, students are tend to be tested on these skills, specifically in high school, in the form of an SAT exam, and based on a person's performance and results of testing, they can then be eligible to go on to the collegiate level and go to school and college. However, there's an alternative theory called the multiple intelligence theory, created by presented by a theorist named Howard Gardner, and he suggests that in addition to the three intellects that I spoke about, there are six additional intellects that individuals possess, which would be musical, existential slash spiritual, interpersonal slash people smart, bodily kinesthetic slash body smart, intrapersonal slash self smart, and then spatial slash um, the ability to interact with three-dimensional objects outside of yourself, so, like physical objects. And I like to present this theory so that people can become aware of it. And if a person is experiencing like low self-esteem or have low self-confidence because they may not have high degrees of math, writing, or science, um, they may discover that they have high degrees of other forms of intellect. And through this awareness, they can be inspired to uh, to put forth an effort to continuously grow their intellects through practice and repetition, such as a basketball player going to a gym and working on their free throws or their shot. So, with more practice, an intellect can become enhanced. So that's the breakdown of the multiple intelligence theory. And so, what I would like to ask the featured guest today, Chuck, of the nine multiple intellects, which one or more do you sense you have high degrees in?
Um, Probably like majority of them, other than like two. I mean, like, because at different times in my life, I've had to, work on each of these.
Hmm.
So like like the bodily kinesthetic.
Hmm.
Like, I used to play sports and just stuff. Like when I was in high school, I played a little football, but I got hurt, so that ain't even really count. But what that led to was me discovering that school had like a bowling team, so I was the captain of the bowling team. And like, you got to have your form straight to really bowl good. I mean, some people just throw it down and do whatever, but like to be serious and like really stay consistent, you gotta have your form down. And I mean, that's the same with. I used to play basketball in middle school. Same with that. You gotta have your form down on the shot to get it to go. I used to play a little tennis, and you definitely gotta have hand-eye coordination. For last summer, one of my cousins did tennis, so my mom put me in there with him. And so I learned how to play tennis that summer. And like, you definitely got to have hand-eye coordination and see the ball coming and everything for that. It's coming fast. So like with that aspect, and then linguistic, have to have a way of words for my like the business that I'm in. You have to be able to communicate in order to get the job done. And even saying interpersonal, like being an entrepreneur, you have to understand yourself. Like, you have to know when is a good day and when it's not a good day for you, and like when to take things personal, when not to take things personal, and just, be sure of yourself and what your plans are. So that's something I work on, every day. And spatial, visualizing the world in 3D. I mean, I look at that one just like as planning, being able to envision the goal and see the playing field, and like, and again, as an entrepreneur and as a producer and creator, that's something I kind of always have to. That's a switch that don't really go off much, because I'll hear something, I'm like, "Ooh, I can sample that," and I know how I can sample. And then there I go, starting to do alchemy and making something out of nothing, basically. And even with some of my business ventures and events, that's what it starts off as. Nothing, and then the thought, and I envision it in my mind and then bring it to reality. um I mean, understanding living things and reading nature. I mean, I don't know. I think we all have that. Like we're all a part of nature within ourselves. So it's just made, like you said, some people may be stronger at it than others, but I think I do well for myself in that. I mean, not to sound crazy, but whenever I'm around dogs, they always get along with me. You feel me? Animals always be cool with me. So nature seemed to rock with me. I don't really have a lot of allergies or anything like that. Go out in the grass and the pollen and not really come back toe up. So it's good. Me and nature, we pretty cool. And like musical kind of go without saying. It's what I do. It's my realm of things. And then logical and mathematical. Oh, that's like music is math. It's a lot of math and music and timing and numbers and a lot of that. And I've always been pretty good at math. In high school, I actually skipped up a grade in math
Mm.
because actually I did that in middle school. I did that even before high school. I skipped up a grade in math, so I was always ahead. So by the time my junior year, I was taking like AP calculus. I bombed that AP test, stunk it up, but I passed the class. And at so 12th grade year, I didn't even have a math class because they ran out of math to give me, and I wasn't about to go to college to take a class. Like I just was like, all right, I'm done then. Y'all out of math. So I've always been like good with like putting the numbers together and figuring things out and just being logical and connecting the dots. And I think that's a really important skill to have, especially in this day and age of AI and virtual reality and augmented realities. It's just like, you know, I, it's a saying that it said, "Believe half of what you see and none of what you hear." And then people be like,
Mhm.
"Yeah, 'cause numbers don't lie." And that was another one. But like we living in the age where numbers really like numbers don't lie. One is one, but the representation of what that number is can be a lie.
Mm.
And that's what it is. Like we see it online. People got all these followers and it be bots. People got all these streams and it be fake streams. Like,
Mm.
people go into Home Depot and take a picture and make it look like this my new apartment. Like it's not even you're not even in a building, you on a prop setup on top of that. Like you didn't even go it look like you didn't even go to an open house and fake it. You went to Home Depot and faked it on a prop dollhouse type setting. So I think being able to connect the dots and see things for what they are is very important right now because it's a lot of smoke and mirrors and false flagging and things going on. And no matter what, 1 plus 1, like they said, numbers don't lie. 1 plus 1 will always be two. And whenever somebody's trying to tell you that, well, you don't need a plus sign or you don't need this, for the situation, then that's when you know that, at least to me, I know that it's something fishy because there's certain rules that you just can't get around in life about certain things.
Mm.
And that's just it, the bottom line. There's certain things that just can't be negated and can't be skipped over in certain pathways and statements to be things or say things or live a certain way.
Mhm.
And when people start trying to when you say that and people want to be like, oh, well, it's a new day and age, and it ain't about that. It's like, man, people want to recreate the wheel because they still ain't mastered the original one because the wheel don't always need to be recreated.
Mm-mm. Yeah. No, that was very insightful about yourself, and I hope you will continue to enhance your intellect, which can also be an inspiration to other people who are of witness to you, um, putting forth those efforts. And I think I think for me, I think another thing that came to mind when you talked about spatial intellect as in terms of being an entrepreneur, I think your sense of awareness when it comes to logistics in terms of for example, picking a venue, like how accessible is this venue in terms of the potential customers or potential clients that will want to come there? Because if there's no parking, that could decrease the potential for someone to want to come to my show, or even inside of the room. Is there enough seating? What's the maximum capacity in
Yeah,
terms of you considering one venue compared to another
no,
too.
definitely. I always try to keep in mind, like, is it how public transportation friendly is this venue?
Hmm.
Like, because a lot of my clients don't always have automobiles, and then not only that, like, I advertise on different like event blogs and websites, not just in my own social media. So I don't know who's seeing that, but it's been a lot of events that I've held where people are like, "Oh, I saw this on such and such, so I came to check it out. Oh, I saw it on Eventbrite, so I came to check it out." And they see my advertisements for it, and I don't have any connection to them. But then when I pay attention to how they got there or when they leave, it's like, oh, they on an Uber. They on it, and it's like, well, it's close. The venue's close enough to a bar station that it's like a $5 Uber ride. So if you bring a date and y'all split the Uber ride or whatever, it's like I got the Uber ride, you buy me a drink when we get, it's nothing at that point. So I try to keep definitely like, yeah, planning when I plan out a venue or something that I want to do, unless it's like something super exclusive or something really nice. I try to keep it public friendly, close to BART or, close to something so that way, people don't have to go all out their way and be like, man, we finna spend 30, it's gonna be a 15 on an Uber or a Lyft and 15 back. We're gonna spend $30 and we gotta spend 10, 20 to get in or whatever. We're gonna spend 40 drinking and we got this is $100 night before we even got there.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So yeah, that's our perspectives on the intellects. I know we're getting close to the 9 o'clock hour, so I definitely want to touch on the last segment. Appreciate everybody tuning in. If you have any comments or questions, please do post those. We'll try to address them. So we're gonna go to the next segment, the final segment, which is called the multiple intelligence. I mean, nah, it's called the interpreting expressions segment. So in this segment, I like to present a expression, um, which can come in the form of a statement or a question that is relatable to myself in terms of inspiring my growth as an individual. And I like to present it on the show in hopes that the expression can also be relatable to the viewers. And addition to that, I like to share I like to hopefully share my interpretation as well as hear the interpretation of the featured guest of the expression so that our expressions can also be a resource to one another as well as the viewer. And so today's interpreting expressions statement is: you cannot receive a new reality by holding on to an old identity. So, my first question, Chuck, is how would you interpret this statement?
well, yeah, I mean, I get it because so if everybody, I'll just use myself. I started off as a music producer, like I said, an on-air personality. But like now I'm a recording studio owner and songwriter, videographer, yada yada yada. So when people come up to me and be like, "Oh, you DJ, right?"
Mm-hmm.
And if I was to just be like, "I'm a music producer," then I would always be stuck in only opportunities that are presented as a music producer, and I could never step into what life has for me by accepting these other, and it's like that. If I just stayed in that identity, I'm a music producer. I'm a music producer. I just make beats. Like I meet some people that's like I just make beats. And like I see this with artists. They're no knocking against them, but the facts is the facts. Some people are really just one trick ponies, and it's like all I do is rap. And it's like, okay, well, let me open this door. Look, it's 3 million people on the other side of this door who also just rap.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine the heat you got to come with to be able to compete, because some of these people got extreme heat in this line. Some of these people come from families of songwriter, and they've been just making me like look at like her, like Gabby Wilson. I think her last name Wilson. Well, her, but I'm talking about the sister
Mm-hmm.
from Vallejo.
Mm-hmm.
Her dad is in a band. She grew up in a band. She went to Oakland School of the Arts. Like Her whole life is revolved around music. Of course she's gonna be dope. Like, how could you not be dope when you spent like Andre 3000 did the Jimi Hendrix movie after practicing guitar for 8 hours, I think, for 3 months,
Hmm.
and he was able to play it like that. So imagine a whole life of just straight focus, because many of us don't necessarily always have that leisure. Like, some people can, well, like a Stephen Curry, his father is an NBA player. So if he wanted to go down that path, he had like not the easiest route, but a very easy route. You already at the gym watching what they doing. You already could do the work. You finding out what NBA, what professional workouts are. You see, so you could focus all on shooting your jump shot in the gym all day, where the rest of us regular folks like, I gotta go to school because I know it's different for a regular person.
Mm.
And so it's like that. It's like you gotta be able to adapt, and sometimes adapting is being able to accept, like this podcast is about growth, and you're
Mm.
never gonna be able to grow into yourself and be all that you can be if you just stuck on being what you want to be. what I want to be this. My mind is set on this, so I'm that. Well, guess what, bro? You didn't grew. You're not that anymore. You're more than that. But some people sometimes can't see it or don't want to accept it because whatever the case may be. But that's what I got from
Okay,
that.
I appreciate it. And then the follow up question uh, is you might have touched on it, but I'll just ask it anyway. How relatable is this to yourself?
Yeah, I mean, like, yep, I did touch on it a little bit. It's just like, yeah, I can't, when even like going a little further, when I started the studio and I was just doing engineering stuff. But then I realized that, I my clients needed people to shoot music videos for them, and I had the knowledge, so it was like, well, I'll shoot music videos for them. Then I got a camera, I got the stuff. Let's make it happen. So then somebody's like, "Oh, you a videographer now?" Like somebody asked me, like, "I guess so, yeah." Like, I mean, I do it all. Like if the shoot music videos magically make me a videographer now, which I mean by definition it would. Okay, well then yeah, I do that. I'm an engineer, and people would stay in your lane. One dude, what is it? Jack of all trades, master of none. It's like, well, there's more to that statement. It don't just stop there. Like, but why can't somebody know a whole bunch? I don't know. I just like to improve myself and be great and learn what I need to learn and be able to do what I want to do and need to do in times when I want to do it. I don't mind outsourcing, but sometimes it's just like, well, I could do that myself, or it just takes time to learn it, and I'm gonna take the time out to learn it. We only use 10% of our brain, they say, so let's use some more.
Yeah, I can relate to what you're saying, and I'm gonna share my interpretation of it now. So I wrote a note. I'm gonna read that real quick. The note says, "Existing seems to involve a pattern of initiations and echoes. Therefore, if an initiation derives from a transition of someone's current identity, then the echo of that initiative will be an opportunity or a new reality. So, without changing self, one may not experience an external changing of circumstance. So, I'll tell you, for example, um, if I let's use exercise for example. If I don't take the initiative to, um, if I'm overweight and I don't take the initiative to work out, then that could result in me not changing my weight. So if that's the case, I'm hearing an echo. You hear echo, Chuck?
No.
Okay, let me see if I turn it down. Check, check. Okay, here we go. That's good. Um, so if I don't put forth an effort to if I don't put forth an effort to exercise, then my weight would stay the same. And so at that point, I can either complain about my weight, which probably isn't going to change my identity, or I can do something different, which is taking an initiative to do something new, which would create a new reality of me refining my body. And I think, like you had said, if you didn't put forth the effort to um, take the initiative to do videography, which may or may have not been okay, um, you probably wouldn't have attracted additional clientele to support your business ventures. But I think also what's worth taking into consideration too, when a person puts forth an effort to um, take take on a new initiative, is also being aware of how pleasurable the process is of the initiative as well. Because sometimes put forth an if you take for put forth an initiative and you don't enjoy the process, such as like uh doing heavy drugs, it may not it might not that may not create a new reality for you that's of benefit to you either. So it's also important to take note of, like, do you enjoy the process of what you're doing? And if so, that could provide a new opportunity that could help support you in your growth as an individual also. um like for me, like, this is the 40th episode of the Journey of Growth podcast, and despite it being though it is the 40th episode, it still is a new reality, and I am changing my identity through my interactions with Chuck today. So for me, from my perspective, this is a new reality for me. And had I not taken the initiative to reach out to Chuck and call him and be like, "Hey, Chuck, would you be interested in doing the show?" Like, I probably wouldn't have the episode wouldn't be broadcast, um, which, it would be an old identity. But I mean, the question is, how content would I be in terms of my self growth as an individual? And I think just intuitively, because I enjoy the process of doing the show, I naturally took that step forward, which attracted this new reality for me, which I appreciate. Yeah. So that's my interpretation of that. Yeah. You
Mhm.
got any feedback about my expression?
No, no, I get. I mean, we basically saying the same thing, man. You gotta step outside yourself to grow. I mean, that's why the picture is a caterpillar. It's like, one of the ultimate symbols of change, a caterpillar. So
Yeah, for sure. And I intentionally chose this visualization because I think with with a caterpillar, their transition to a butterfly, like, it seems like, from my perspective, it's still a choice. And I think what's interesting about when I thought about the caterpillar, my question is do they are they aware when they transition from are they aware when they transition from being a caterpillar to a butterfly? Or is it more of a process that happens, and it's like a surprise to them, through their initiatives of taking the steps that led to that transitional moment? What's your theory about that?
yeah, I don't know. That is a good question. I mean, who knows? Like, does a caterpillar know when it see? Does what is it, like, not a, or even just a fully adult caterpillar that hasn't started to change it, does it know when it sees a butterfly that that's what it's gonna like? Yeah, I mean, I don't know, I don't speak. That's a great question. Like, does it know when it sees it, like, that'll be me one day, or is it thinking like, man, that's a weird flying bug over there, and then one day it just wake up and realize I'm the weird flying bug? I don't even, because like, of course this is a drawing here of this caterpillar, but this is pretty similar to what a caterpillar looks like. But when
Mhm.
you see a butterfly's body does not, or is it like, it's a complete transformation. So yeah, it's like, does it? I don't know. Does a caterpillar know what it's gonna do, and does it recognize itself? Is it aware? Who knows?
Yeah. Not only
Does like
pose.
then you ask about other things like, does a snake know when it sheds its skin? Like the first time a snake sheds its skin, does it think it's dying?
Mm.
You know, like when Eve had the first menstrual cycle, she probably thought she was dying. Like she thought this is it. I messed up. This is why he said, "Don't mess with it." I messed with it, and I'm dying now. This is the worst death. And then things got better, and she was like, "What was that? What just happened?" And then it happened again. So like, who knows?
Yeah, not
Who knows?
only pose that question because I think about you as an entrepreneur and like and it's like, okay, you started like, doing the radio show in your youth. And now here you are today as an entrepreneur, which like those seems like it was a series of transitions. But were you focused on back when you were doing the radio show as a teenager? Were you focused on or were you aware that one day that you would be where you are today? Or is it a matter of you just engaging in those moments that were presented to you, which led you to today, right?
Yeah, so out the gate, I didn't think I was gonna be a studio owner, but there was a time where it crossed my mind, and I was like, I could own a studio.
Mm-hmm.
Like after making beats and realizing I needed to get the beats mixed and mastered, me and my homies didn't know any engineers, and we didn't know where any studios were at. So it was like, well, I gotta start learning myself then, and that's what led to that. And in college, like for as great as Howard was at the time when I was there, they just didn't have enough resources for all the students. So like you could literally be diligent about getting your work done, but you couldn't get in the labs because there wasn't enough labs for all the students. So you could like literally not get your homework done because you just couldn't get into the lab with the studio and the mic and all that to get it done. So
Mm-hmm.
that led to me that's what led to me actually starting my own studio in my apartment. It wasn't really like I was trying to start a studio because I wanted to be a studio guy. I just wanted to get my work done, So I bought a computer and bought a mic and stuff so I could be able to do my homework at the crib and I wouldn't have to be wrestling and fighting because I actually got into it with a professor over that. And that's when I was like, that's the last straw because he thought like what happened was we left class to go reserve the room and it was only one room left between then and when school and the work was due. So me and some classmates, we decided like, well, it's only available for about an hour and all three of us got to get it done. Let's just do an assignment together. Let's just
Mm-hmm.
work on it together. We'll check all the boxes of the assignment and turn it in together because there's no way we're gonna get this done and like it's impossible. So like we that's what we did. Went there, we all showed up at the same time and we all did our own little piece of the work and put it together and we turned it in as one. And he was like, no group projects, y'all fail.
Mm.
And fell on the horn. And like so I got into it with him because I'm like, dude, you over here flashing and like cause he always was hella just turned up for no reason. So it was like you doing hella extra, you trying to embarrass us. And I'm like, you be the main one, because he was an OG from Chicago. Like, you be the main one talking about how the youth don't team up and we be at each other's throats. And like I explained, I'm like, you feel me? And I explained the situation. I'm like, this is what happened. Like, what do you say we do then? Because none of us got a studio at the house. None of
Mm-hmm.
us have any of this equipment. So what was we supposed to do?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, all right. I guess I'll allow it this time. But next time, I'm like, what you mean, but next time? Like, so, like, like I know, because at that time it was maybe 8 computers that you could get access to do your work. Like 8 in a whole school, like audio work. Like yeah, for audio or 8. And then it was just like, you can't be serious talking about the next time. So I was like, I'm not finna be arguing with this man or failing because the school don't have enough resources and I'm paying. I'll just get my own stuff. And that's what led to that. And just running that and doing that. I mean, it was a good source of like passive income. Cause like I said, I was working when I came back, I was working different jobs. and it just got to the point. I got tired of, like, I used to work for after school programs, and I worked for like Academy Art University, and excuse me, in their music department. And it was just like in California, they got at will hiring and firing, so you could
Hmm.
just lose your job just cause, and then just cause we making cuts or just cause we felt like it, and then just working for people, you caught in that hierarchy. I worked for a job once where other people were stealing and doing stuff like stealing, not putting resources and money where it needed to go when they were getting grants and just doing all kind of crooked stuff. And I became the scapegoat because one, I was teaching music, which is an expendable program because not everybody makes it in music and anybody can make music at the same time. That's what, that's the general say. Anybody could do this and not everybody. So whatever. So I like got ousted even while doing a great job just because I was the easy scapegoat for the people who was stealing. Now, like I said, karma and things happened a year later. Those people got caught up for stealing. And, I think they had to do some jail time. I don't know, but you can't embezzle in a nonprofit and think you gonna get away with it. Like people watching. So, but like all that stuff kind of led me to just be like, man, you know what? I'm gonna go in business for myself because I'm investing a lot of this energy and bringing my resources into these jobs to help these kids, and I could just utilize my resources and these opportunities and knowledge to help the youth and things on my own. I don't necessarily need to be caught up in these organizations that's trying to suck me dry and then kick me to the wayside after they get what they need or what they think they need. So, but yeah, it was never like I'm gonna have a studio and I'm gonna be a studio owner and that's gonna be my career path. Like
Hmm.
it was never like that. It's just like something I grew into because even though I have this studio, I mean, I own a studio. I'm the head engineer here. I do, but it's like I don't really look at it as like my identity. It's just a thing. It's a piece of my identity and what I do. Because I mean, I can leave this. I could just stop studioing, and I could leave the studio open to somebody else to be the engineer, and I just focus on other things that I do or whatnot. Or I could just have the studio to just be a personal thing if that's what I wanted to do, and just like, yeah, only rocking with the artists that I really rock with and want to create with. Other than that, it's not open to the public.
Hmm.
So, it's not my identity, but it is like my career at this point, being an entrepreneur and being the studio owner. But I do so many different things, and I have so many other different outlets, and so I don't feel like I'm blocked in or anything. And I just, like I said in the beginning, I just look at myself as like a multimedia specialist, and I work in a lot of different fields and have a lot of different skills. And it just so happens that I have a workspace and office that is the recording studio and a film studio, so anybody can like utilize it and get stuff done. But that helps. Like I meet some artists, and it's like I have a space. We could come here and work. Just come here. So
Thank you. I appreciate that elaboration because it helped me to parallel your journey to the statement, and it seems like based on how you described your experiences that the new reality for you was a surprise, which would be in the form of you having the studio in terms of it being an opportunity, which seems to um, been attracted by your efforts starting from when you first started as a student of music. And so, and I think some it seems like others may fall into the temptation of expecting a new reality. And so and I'm only paralleling that based on what you said about the people who embezzled money at that organization that you were working for. It seems like they, through the in, through their attempt to embezzle money, they were trying to create a new reality for themselves or force a new reality to come into existence through acquiring funds illegally, which I think they probably imagined would have resulted in them having, you know, a nice house, a nice car,
I don't know. They
and
was doing stuff.
yeah.
One of them had a whole destination wedding in Jamaica and brought people from the job there, and I was like, yeah, shit, they was balling too hard. Like you made it hot. like destination wedding, and you brought people from the job. Because at that job, we all kind of knew how much each other made. Like when you got hired at that job, it was a list of like, okay, if you got a degree, you get $1 extra. Like the base pay is this, but if you got a degree, you get this much. If you've done this before, you get 50 cents extra. So like when I got the job, I knew that because I saw the paperwork, but as I'm working there, I realized like coworkers is having certain conversations to try to deep dive and try to figure out where they sit with you on the pay sheet. Cause I'm like, why you ask me that? And then somebody mentioned it, like he's probably trying to see how much you was getting paid. Cause remember, this question is on the thing. And I was just like, wow, like pocket watching me at the job, and we work at two different sites. But yeah, so they was doing some things, but you can't, yeah, that kind of behavior gonna catch up with you eventually, like because either you gonna want to keep living that kind of lifestyle, or it's hard to fake that. She went too hard. She did too much.
Yeah, and she wasn't really. It seemed like she wasn't willing to change her old identity through refining her ways, and she stuck to it. So that her new
Yeah.
reality was a probably jail time.
Yeah, I was like, in new reality was probably in the jumpsuit behind some bars. I don't know how that one turned out, but I don't know. I mean, when it comes, yeah, with that they do like to send people to jail. Sometimes with taxes and stuff, that kind of federal stuff, you can stay out because Nicolas Cage owed like hundreds of millions, but he's still out here making movies, paying off debt. So I don't know, but that was then. This is now. But yeah, they were definitely forcing realities, like you put it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you, Chuck, once again for tuning into the show.
Yeah,
Being a part of the show.
it's all
And
good.
yeah, yeah. And what would your parting words be?
Um, I don't know, man. I mean, do not necessarily do what makes you happy, because some people get happy doing wrong, doing bad stuff. But do the things that help you and those around you elevate in a positive way. You shouldn't really, I don't know. Just be solid. If you out there, you looking at this, be solid, be progressive. Set good goals, and just, if your goal, like we talked about earlier, if your goals don't go with someone else's goals, it's okay to be clear about that, and it's okay to everybody do their own thing and it not be a problem. Like there's too much hostility, I think, and stuff. Like I was talking with someone the other day, like why can't why does it have to be the hottest song? And why can't it be that you and I both have hot songs? Like why is it always a competition? Why is it impossible that your song is really good and my song is really good? Why
Mhm.
is it that you can't have a really dope event curation and things that you're doing with your people, and I also have a really dope thing going on, and we go and see each other? It's just weird, but I think that goes back to vanity and what we talked about. And it's like, people are gonna be people. Some people have their ulterior motives. A lot of people just have never been cool, or they were only cool in high school and they forever chasing that. And that's the gas to their engine, is just trying to, like I said, be seen. Vanity is weird, but I've never really been trying to be caught up on that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
Uh, but that's. So yeah, if you out there, you listening, you peeping this, man, just do your thing, hold it down, don't hurt nobody, don't hurt
Mhm.
yourself either.
Yeah, thank you for that. I can relate to what you're saying. I think my parting words is, and I'm last episode we were talking about uncertain. If you're in a place of uncertainty, then you're in alignment. And I had said that in the last episode, I was uncertain if I will ever attain certainty in life, at least at present, right? Because the present seems to be an ever changing thing. So how can I be certain about something that's in constant change, right? So uh, I think it seems like I may not ever achieve certainty, but that's not to say that I am panicked about it, because I think at present there are circumstances that are presented to me that can be may or may not be relatable to me, but if they are relatable to me, then these circumstances that I'm exposed to or experiencing can be guides for me to conduct myself in this ever changing present moment. So I would say, um, you know, being aware of the present is very important, and also stay focused on opportunity, because if there's an opportunity to grow, then I think all is well. And I think that can stem from someone who's in prison to someone who is like hoping to get a job. If you have an opportunity to go to school while you're in prison, or if you can um, apply for a job tonight, like that inspires and motivates. That can inspire and motivate someone to keep going in their journeys of life. So, and I think opportunity, it seems, is ever present. It's a matter of the individual to be aware of what opportunity is existing in the moment. And opportunity can come in various forms. So I would say, as long as you're focused on opportunity and you sense an opportunity, like all is well in terms of your growth as an individual. Yeah. So I thank everybody for tuning in. I hope y'all enjoy the rest of the evening. I appreciate y'all. And until next time, good night.
All right, y'all. Peace.